The rain had been falling for 3 days straight, turning Robert McKenna's wheat fields into a muddy mess. At 61, he'd seen plenty of bad weather. But this storm felt different, angrier somehow, with lightning that cracked the sky like God himself was taking aim at the earth. Robert stood at his kitchen window, coffee growing cold in his hands, watching the storm roll across his land. The farm had been in his family for 4 generations, but it might not make it to a 5th. The bank had sent another letter last week. He had 6 months to catch up on the mortgage, or they'd foreclose. His wife Helen had been gone 2 years now, taken by cancer before she could see their golden years. Their son lived in California with a tech job Robert didn't fully understand. The farm that had once bustled with life now felt achingly empty. A flash of lightning illuminated something unusual in the north field, a dark shape that hadn't been there yesterday. Robert squinted through the rain. It looked like wreckage. His heart began to pound. He pulled on his old red flannel shirt and work jacket, grabbed his truck keys, and headed out into the storm. The rain pelted his windshield as he drove across the field, his tires churning through mud. As he got closer, his worst fears were confirmed. The twisted remains of a small plane lay scattered across his wheat, smoke still rising from the engine despite the downpour. Robert threw the truck into park and ran toward the wreckage, his boots sinking into the soft earth. "Hello?" he called out. "Is anyone there?" A weak groan answered him. He found her 20 feet from the main wreckage, lying in the mud and grass. A young woman in her 30s, blonde hair matted with blood and rain, wearing a green jacket that was torn and dirty. She was conscious but clearly in pain, one leg bent at an unnatural angle. "Don't move," Robert said, kneeling beside her. "I'm here to help." Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused. "My plane," she whispered. "I couldn't." "The storm." "Shh, don't try to talk. I'm going to get you out of here." Robert was no longer a young man, and his back protested as he carefully lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, fragile as a bird. He carried her through the rain to his truck, settling her as gently as he could in the passenger seat. "Hospital's 40 minutes away," he said, starting the engine. "Can you stay with me?" She nodded weakly, her face pale with shock and pain. Robert drove as fast as he dared on the muddy roads, one hand on the wheel, the other reaching over to check her pulse every few minutes. She drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling words he couldn't quite make out. At the county hospital, the emergency room staff took over. Robert stood in the waiting room, soaked to the bone, watching them wheel her away. A young doctor approached him. "Are you family?" "No, I found her. Plane crash on my property." The doctor nodded. "You saved her life. Another hour in this weather with those injuries? Well, you did good. We'll need to contact her family. Did she have any identification?" Robert realized he hadn't thought to check. "I don't know. I just wanted to get her here." "We'll sort it out," the doctor assured him. "You should go home, get dry. We'll call if there's any news." But Robert found himself reluctant to leave. He waited another 2 hours, drinking bitter coffee from the vending machine, until a nurse came out with an update. "She's stable. Broken leg, concussion, cuts and bruises, but she'll recover. She's asking for the man who found her." Robert followed the nurse to a private room. The young woman lay in the hospital bed, cleaned up now, bandages visible on her arms and forehead. Her leg was in a cast, elevated, but her eyes were clear and focused when she saw him. "You saved my life," she said simply. Robert felt his face warm. Anyone would have done the same. "But you did it." She held out her hand. "I'm Catherine, Kate Thornton." He shook her hand gently, mindful of her injuries. "Robert McKenna. The plane came down on my wheat field." "I'm so sorry," Kate said, distress crossing her face. "The damage to your crops." "I'll pay for everything, of course. My lawyers will handle—" "Lawyers?" Robert interrupted, confused. Kate paused, studying his face. "You don't know who I am, do you?" "Should I?" A strange expression crossed her face, relief mixed with something like wonder. "No," she said softly. "No reason you should. I'm just Kate." Over the next week, Robert visited Kate every day. The storm had passed, but the damage to his fields was done. Still, he found himself less worried about the wheat and more concerned about the young woman recovering. In that hospital room, Kate was easy to talk to. She asked about his farm, his life, his late wife. She listened with genuine interest when he talked about the seasons, about planting and harvest, about the satisfaction of working land that had fed families for generations. "It sounds peaceful," she said wistfully. "Meaningful." "It can be lonely," Robert admitted, especially since Helen passed. "But yes, there's meaning in it. Growing things, taking care of the land." Kate told him she was a pilot, that she'd been flying her own plane when the storm hit. She'd been heading home after a business trip, she said, but didn't elaborate on what kind of business. Robert didn't press. He'd learned that some people needed time before they shared their stories. On the 5th day, a man in an expensive suit appeared at Kate's hospital room door. He looked startled to see Robert sitting there. "Ms. Thornton," the man said formally. "I came as soon as I heard. The board is concerned—" "Michael," Kate interrupted, her tone firm. "I'm fine, and I'm taking some personal time. Handle things in the city." The man's eyes flickered to Robert, assessment clear in his gaze. "Of course. But Ms. Thornton, the quarterly reports—" "Can wait," Kate said. "Thank you for coming, Michael. I'll be in touch." After the man left, Robert cleared his throat. "I should probably go. Seems like you have business to handle." "Robert, wait." Kate reached for his hand. "I need to tell you something. I haven't been completely honest with you." His heart sank. Here it came. Whatever complication would end these pleasant visits and send him back to his empty farmhouse. "My full name is Catherine Thornton. I'm the CEO of Thornton Industries. We manufacture agricultural equipment, tractors, harvesters, irrigation systems. The company's worth about $800 million. Robert stared at her. $800 million, Kate confirmed. "I inherited it from my father 5 years ago. I've been running it ever since, working 70-hour weeks, living in a penthouse I barely see, attending endless meetings and conferences, flying myself between our facilities because it's faster than commercial flights. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because," Kate said, her voice soft, "for the first time in 5 years, someone looked at me and saw just me, not the company, not the money. Just a person who needed help. Do you know how rare that is?" Robert sat back down slowly. "I reckon I do. After Helen died, all anyone could see was poor Robert, the widower farmer about to lose his land. Like I'd stopped being a person and become a problem to be pitied." "Exactly," Kate said. "These past few days talking with you, hearing about your farm and your life, I felt more like myself than I have in years." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the beeping of hospital monitors the only sound. "So what happens now?" Robert finally asked. "I don't know," Kate admitted. "I have a company to run. You have a farm to save. We live in different worlds. But," she smiled, "but I'd like to keep talking. If you would." Over the following months, Kate recovered and returned to running her company, but she visited the farm every weekend. She'd arrive Friday evening in jeans and a simple shirt, leaving her business clothes and corporate persona in the city. She helped Robert repair the damaged fields. She learned to drive a tractor, laughing when she stalled it the first 3 times. She sat with him on the porch in the evenings, watching the sun set over land that stretched to the horizon. "I've been thinking," Kate said one evening, 6 months after the crash, "Thornton Industries could use a demonstration farm. Somewhere we test new equipment, develop sustainable farming practices, show farmers how our products work in real conditions." "That sounds nice," Robert said, not sure where she was going. "I'd like it to be here," Kate continued. "I'd like to invest in your farm, make it a partnership. You'd keep ownership, maintain control of operations. But the company would fund improvements, new equipment, research facilities. And I'd be here more often, much more often." Robert looked at her carefully. "Why?" "Because I love this place," Kate said simply. "And because I love you. I think I have since you carried me out of that field, muddy and stubborn and kind." Robert felt his eyes sting. "I'm an old farmer. Kate, you're a successful businesswoman with your whole life ahead of you. I'm a woman who's been running in circles for 5 years. Achieving everything and feeling nothing," Kate corrected. "You've taught me what I was missing. Purpose, connection, peace. I don't want to give that up." "I love you too," Robert said. The words he'd been holding back for months, finally breaking free. "But I don't want you to give up your life for mine." "I'm not giving anything up," Kate said, taking his hand. I'm finally finding what I've been looking for. A real life. With you. They were married the following spring in a small ceremony on the farm. Surrounded by neighbors and friends, Kate's business associate Michael attended, looking bemused at seeing his CEO in a simple white dress, standing in a field of growing wheat. The partnership transformed the farm. New equipment arrived, followed by researchers and agricultural students eager to learn. But Kate and Robert kept the heart of the place unchanged. The old farmhouse, the simple routines, the quiet satisfaction of working the land. One evening, 2 years after the crash, they sat on the porch watching a summer storm roll in, gentler than the one that had brought them together. "Do you ever regret it?" Robert asked. "Giving up the penthouse and the corporate life?" Kate leaned against his shoulder. "I didn't give anything up. I gained everything. This farm, this life, it's what I was missing all along. I just needed to fall out of the sky to find it." "Well," Robert said with a smile, "remind me to thank that storm." Lightning flickered on the horizon, and Kate laughed. "Some storms bring destruction, but sometimes, if you're very lucky, they bring exactly what you need." As rain began to patter on the porch roof, Robert held his wife close and thought about the strange paths life takes. He'd expected to grow old alone on this farm, to watch it slip away like so many family farms before it. Instead, a storm had brought him love, purpose, and a future he'd never dared to imagine. Sometimes, he thought, the best things fall right out of the sky when you least expect them. You just have to be there to catch them.